We're going to start by going over the syllabus. Then we're going to talk about WebAssign, which you'll find out what that is when we go over the syllabus. And then we have a little bit of a lecture to start today. Syllabus is right there. You can grab on the way in. So it's a good thing to note. If you ever come in late, the things that I hand out will usually be sort of like right around here, so you can just grab one on your way in. Okay, so the syllabus. My name's Caitlin. My office is just down the hall, North 419. It's my number and my email. Better chance catching me by email. I respond several times per day. Obviously, if you're here, you know that this is where and when we meet. Office hours, studio hours are all listed there. Textbook and materials. So this might be a little bit confusing. So the only thing that's required is an access code to WebAssign. Okay, WebAssign is an online, it includes an e-version of the whole textbook. Yep, you buy an access kit like this. Except it's not my math lab, it's WebAssign. It's not. Yeah. You have to take that back. So it has a total complete version of the textbook, e-version of the textbook online, and it's also where you're going to do all your homework. Okay, so that's where all your homework answers get submitted. You're actually going to do your homework in a notebook like you normally would out of a textbook, but WebAssign, you just go, you put in your answers, and it tells you if it's right or wrong. If you get it wrong and you don't know how to do it, there's a little button that says watch it, and it'll like give you do an example for you to help you get unstuck. So the only thing that's required is a code. You have to purchase an access code to WebAssign. You can get it through the bookstore, or you can buy it directly at webassign.net. So if you buy it directly, you have to have a credit card to be able to do that, to buy it online. And I don't think you can use financial aid. You can only use financial aid if you go through the bookstore. So the optional thing is a hard copy of the textbook. So a physical textbook is optional because you have the ebook, and it's just if you have trouble like reading off a computer screen or something like that, you can buy a copy of the text. The bookstore is bundling these two things together, and it doesn't charge you that much more to add the book onto the WebAssign code. But if you buy them separately, it costs a lot more. So if you want both, make sure you get it through the bookstore. Or you could search for like an old copy of this text online, so you can find one for 20 bucks or something. All right, so you can read the course description and objectives on your own. If you think you need any kind of accommodation, just let me know. If it's testing related, let me know a few days before the first test, and we'll set that up. So what to expect. So homework questions should be asked during office hours or before class whenever possible. If you can't get your question answered then bring it to class and we'll go over it. But class is generally going to be just for lecture and activities, planned activities. Okay, so we'll start with lecture. It'll introduce some new concepts, and then I'll give you some time to work in your groups practicing those new concepts. At the end of each class, I'm going to assign a set of homework problems that are going to be posted in WebAssign. So if you don't have a computer or access to the internet at home, you can just pop over to the Math Studio, print it out, take it home with you. Okay? Then come back in, put the answers in the morning. Okay? It's okay. You can grab a syllabus off the table here. So we have lots of resources available to you here. Obviously, I'm a resource. You can stop by my office hours, call me, email me, set up an appointment, whatever. Other students in the class will be a great resource. Make sure that you get contact info from a few of your classmates, form study groups, work on homework together, stuff like that. And the math studio is a great place to meet with your classmates before and after class. There's computers over there and tables, and you can work on homework, stuff like that. Peer tutors, 1330 is the number to make an appointment with them. Smart Thinking is a new online tutoring service that GCC subscribes to. So they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can make an appointment with an online tutor if you're having trouble with something and it's 11 o'clock at night and it's due at midnight. You can contact a tutor. It's not actually free. GCC has paid for it, but it's free to you. Yes, lots of courses. Yeah, you can use it for anything. And WebAssign technical support, if you ever have issues with that. If it's really a technical problem, you can contact them. If it's something like, oh, I was working and the deadline passed and I had one problem left, contact me. But if the page isn't loading or something like that, contact WebAssign. So, methods of evaluation. You're going to have homework, projects, quizzes, and exams. Have homework that's assigned every class, but I'm going to have weekly due dates just to give you a little bit of flexibility. You really should be doing the homework daily after each class so that you can see whether or not you understood the lesson right away. But to give you a little bit of flexibility, if you have... Hi. It's okay. Here for college algebra?
Yes.
Okay. Syllabus. All right, so all homework's going to be done in WebAssign, due weekly to give you a little bit of flexibility. But even though you submit your homework in WebAssign, you should still keep a notebook with a record of all your work that you use to solve the problems. Purpose is twofold. One, if WebAssign crashes or doesn't save your work or isn't recognize an answer that you really think is right and it's saying it's wrong, then you can just show me your notebook and I can go in and manually give you credit if something happens with WebAssign. That's never happened with WebAssign crashing or anything, but you just never know. So keep a hard copy. And second, if you get stuck and you can't figure out a problem, it helps me or whoever's helping you in the math studio or a peer tutor to figure out what the problem is if they can see what you've tried. Okay, so having your work written down is really, really going to be helpful. And for studying purposes, when you come back to study for a test, having the work there to remind yourself what you did will really be helpful. So homework assignments are generally going to be due on Wednesdays. So each Wednesday, the homework from the previous week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of the previous week will be due Wednesday of the current week. That gives you one class buffer to ask questions if you get stuck or something. So homework assignments can be submitted late for a 25% penalty. In WebAssign, there's a little button like request extension. Just press that and you'll get the extension and a 25% penalty. Okay, but I think you only have like a week to request the extension. And when I calculate your course grade, I drop your 5 lowest homeworks. Projects, we're going to have 4 or 5. They involve exploring concepts in more depth than the homework problems, but they're really kind of glorified homework problems. But they're just a little bit more in depth, strengthen your understanding a little bit more. Quizzes are going to be weekly, usually on Wednesdays, but not always. So you have to check the syllabus to make sure you know when quizzes are coming. And they cover all the material from the previous week. So your homework will be due, and then you'll have a quiz on the material that homework assignment covered. I'll drop your 2 lowest quiz grades when I'm calculating your final grade. There's 3 exams, allowed to use a calculator and 1 page of notes on all of your exams. And the final exam is 2 hours. It's comprehensive, cumulative, and you can use a calculator and 4 pages of notes. Okay, so the reasoning behind the 4 pages is you can save the 3 pages that you made for your first 3 tests, and then you get 1 more for any additional information. You can choose from these 2 options for how you want your grade to be calculated, test light and test heavy. One includes homework and one doesn't. So if you are confident that you don't need to do all the homework to get a good grade, you don't have to. But I think last semester, like maybe 2 or 3 people out of 3 sections of college algebra benefited from the test heavy. So almost everyone benefits from doing homework. So I'll leave that decision to you. Although actually it's not even really a decision. I'm just going to calculate your grade both ways and I give you the better one. So you don't have to decide. But just know that if you start missing homework, your tests are going to count heavier. So again, homework can be submitted late for 25% penalty. Projects, quizzes, oh, we don't have discussions. Sorry, that's a typo. Projects and quizzes cannot be made up. The projects won't be accepted late. Quizzes can't be made up. But I will drop 5 homeworks and 2 quizzes at the end of the semester. So you can miss up to 2 quizzes, no problem. And in general, if you miss an exam, if you just don't show up for an exam, you're going to get a 0. Okay, and unless there was some kind of an emergency. But if you just don't show up, say the quiz is on Friday, you don't show up, and I don't see you again until class on Monday, or hear from you, you're just going to get a 0. You need to send me an email or call me or tell me what's going on. Okay, you can read these on your own. This is our tentative schedule for the semester. We have a pretty strict schedule, things we have to get through. So that's that. Any questions on the syllabus? So you'll notice the schedule shows what we're going to be covering in class, and then there's test, quiz, and project dates in the right-hand side here, so you can keep track of when quizzes and projects are due and stuff like that. Due dates for homework are all in WebAssign, so make sure you always check there for due dates, because they're usually Wednesdays, but occasionally there's a Monday that homework is due so that you can get it done before a test or something.